We go into round 5 in the Premier League this weekend with all 3 of the promoted teams from the EFL Championship last season currently outside of the bottom 3. Burnley are outside on goal difference in 17th. Leeds by 1 point in 16th. Sunderland are all the way up in the heady heights, the top half, in 7th place. I discussed the Black Cats' super strong start to the Premier League season with Matt SB and Conor McGilligan over on Conor's channel on the 3 at the Back podcast. Here's a clip of our conversation about Sunderland. I'll link the full video at the end where we do also cover Burnley and Leeds.
But I think it's probably important to start on the best out of the 3 at the minute, and they've probably got a little bit more to talk about because there's been more going on from a defensive perspective and attacking perspective as well, and obviously a whole host of new players. Let's touch on Sunderland. Very decent start. Has them in the upper echelon of the table. I believe the 7th. Could be wrong there, lads. I'm sure you guys will let me know if I am wrong. But they are 7th in the division. 1 loss on the cards against Burnley, which you wouldn't have picked out when you're looking at the 3 others that they've faced. Rofs, the goalkeeper, looks like a massive improvement on Patterson, I have to say. Man of the match at the weekend, looked absolutely excellent against a very good Crystal Palace side. Benjamin Bloom, how have you looked at Sunderland's start so far? Are you impressed, mate?
Yeah, I'm impressed. The optimistic part of me agrees with you, Conor. You look at the table and you look at the results, and yeah, it is. Essentially the easiest game they've had is, well, maybe it's not when you look at the opening day, but the easiest game on paper they've had is against Burnley, and that's the one they've lost. The pessimistic part of me, Conor, which I try and keep away in the dark, hidden, says everything's kind of gone right. If you look at, other than the Burnley game, if you look at the individual games, the moments have gone for them. And when we talk about particularly the Leeds comparison this weekend, you could almost have flipped the 2 results over the way they could either have been 0-0, they could have either have been 1-0 defeats. And I don't know what it is about Sunderland at the moment, Conor. They are falling in the proverbial bucket of you-know-whats and not coming out sucking their thumb. It's all looking good. It's all going well. But will it stay like that? I hope it does, because my feelings on EFL teams versus the 17. I'm very much in the EFL team's corner. But am I allowed to question the viability, Conor, or should we just enjoy them being 7th?
Yeah, I think so far you kind of got to look at the result really and what they've managed to do. There's been highly pressurized games. I've mentioned this several times on the channel in terms of Brentford, and who've now really found the feet. Brentford and of course West Ham United on the opening day. Palace was a game of which it's really going to test your mettle. I mean, if I'm being ultra critical, Adam Wharton and Ismail Sarr were not playing in that one, but that is, obviously that's context applied, but that is still quite harsh because Crystal Palace have the personnel to, bring players in. Will Hughes, Pino came in, and they're still very decent Premier League players. Sunderland still had to weather the storm, get through it, and I think a result at Selhurst Park is a very good result. And when you're looking at the first 4 fixtures, Matt, I think when you're looking at 1 loss in 4 in the Premier League with the standard of which we've been talking about the Premier League and how good it is, it's got to be a big achievement for the Black Cats so far, hasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. This is a great result. Honestly, I didn't see them getting anything down at Palace. And I've been getting behind Sunderland recently, especially at the Stadium of Light. But I thought this is one where, this is too much going away to a Crystal Palace who've not lost yet this season, just dispatched Villa 3-0 away from home just before the international break. And great result from Sunderland. Honestly, they're showing all the right signs at the moment. There's a stat that Conor might come on to later, which might suggest that in a way they're overperforming and maybe things might sort of regress to the mean at some point later in the season. But we said about, those opening few games and how obviously you want to start off with some winnable ones, get some points on the board. Obviously, Palace is a difficult one, but I think the momentum and the positivity from those first few results has had Sunderland going into this game full of confidence, full of togetherness, and that's why they've got something out of this. The game plan to perfection, as you say. Roofs in goal, fantastic. Defensively, I mean, I remember the thing I was concerned about for Sunderland coming into this season was, other than Ballard, I thought there wasn't much depth there. But I thought Alderete and McGilligan looked really, really solid. And yeah, they were well worth it in the end, weren't they? I mean, we're going to come on to Burnley and Leeds later, who didn't manage to hang on to a 0-0 draw, but Sunderland did. And there's lots of positivity to like at the moment. And they go into the next game against Villa full of confidence at home.
Just quickly, Conor, you've mentioned 11 points at round 10, and we always look at the 1 point per game projection. It doesn't half help getting ahead of that to give yourself wriggle room down the line. And they lose the next 3 games, Sunderland, and they're still at the point per game, and you can pick back up. So I think that's important as well, Conor, when you're going in, and okay, are they going to finish 7th? Highly unlikely, but as long as it kind of shrinks down, very, very slowly and stays around that point per game, then that's great as well. The point in the season that the points go on the board as well.
I think it's really important to touch on as well, Ben. I'll just throw this back to you before we come on to the stats with Matt. Sounds like a segment of the show. But you're looking at the
Stat SB.
There you go. But you look at the fixtures so far. That obviously we've seen them against Brentford, we've seen them against West Ham, we've seen them against Burnley, we've seen them obviously against Crystal Palace. Games of which they can get points on the board. They have done, but still coming up. Villa at home. Villa haven't scored yet. Villa at home. Forest away. A little bit.
Conor, quickly. Conor's fixture list. Forest's fixture list now goes midweek EFL Cup, Premier League, midweek away in the whatever Europa League they're in. And I think you've spoken about, Conor, before. Can you get these guys after they've played in Europe? And that's exactly what they got against Forest. Sorry, continue.
No, you bang on. I think that's the context that needs to be applied. That game is on Saturday, the 27th of September. Will there have been a game in between that? So Villa, Forest, 2 big ones. Then you go to Man United. Look, Man United, aren't they? You never know what you're going to get. But, recent history would tell you that teams can make it difficult, in and around the bottom half of the table at Old Trafford. It feels they raise their game a little bit more against the upper echelon teams. And then you look at, and Sunderland have got Wolves. So the next 2 home games, you've got Villa and Wolves. And then just after that, you've got Everton, the next home game. So it's a really good. The fixture list has been obviously, still in between. There is Chelsea and Man United, of course. But I'm looking at 4 out of those 6 again, Ben. And I'm thinking to myself, there's more points that they can pick up there again. Realistic points with what we've seen so far as well.
Well, and that's literally round 10 as well, if you add the 6 games on. So it's fairly likely that they're going to have your 11 points, isn't it, Conor?
Well, yeah.
At round 10. Sure. Maybe that would be the low end of it. If things would have to start going badly for that. Yeah. So for them to have 9 points, they've got to draw 2 and lose 4 of the next 6.
Yeah.
Go on, give me a little calculation for round 10 then, Conor.
Well, I think, I can see Sunderland. I don't think it's going to be as easy. I think if we're being brutally honest, I think we're kind of looking at this now and just accumulating points for Sunderland, of which there's a lot more context. Aston Villa,
that's fun, isn't it?
It is. But we know Aston Villa are a very good team. They've just not hit the stride yet. We're all very aware of that. I mean, they're looking at players like Lindelof coming in, Sancho and Harvey Elliott and going, I could have done better though, couldn't we? And it's like, oh yeah, okay. And then you're looking at Forest. I imagine at home with Ange, they're going to be pretty damn decent and attacking. I can imagine that Sunderland have to weather that storm. Wolves at that point, are they going to have Strand Larsen back? Are they going to have a little bit more of a fitter outfit? We'll have to wait and see. And obviously Everton, in comparison to when Leeds United played Everton now feel like they're in the stride a little bit, don't they? So a lot more context to apply. But if we're playing this sort of fun game, I mean, by week 10, only 4 games been played. You could have Sunderland on 13 to 15 points, or is that a bit low? I don't know. Feels quite realistic, with their points per game.